Roman territorial expansion between 167 and 133 BC represents a transformative era that reshaped the Mediterranean and its surrounding regions. In this period, Rome evolved from a state preferring diplomatic negotiation to one that embraced military conquest and imperial ambition. The shift in Roman foreign policy was marked not only by strategic calculations, but also by deep-seated cultural and political influences that spurred a more aggressive attitude toward expansion. The early policy of compromise and diplomacy gradually gave way to a relentless pursuit of glory, wealth, and honor. This change was fueled by an ambitious Senate eager for foreign commands, lavish triumphs, and the spoils of war, as well as by influential financial interests that saw large territories as fields ripe for exploitation. The episodes during these years offer a vivid picture of how Rome extended its control over 3 continents, beginning in Spain, moving across North Africa with the dramatic destruction of Carthage, and penetrating the complex political landscapes of Greece and Asia. Each region brought its own challenges and narratives, interwoven with the ideals of Roman superiority and destiny. By weaving together battles, treaties, and remarkable military campaigns, Rome not only secured critical territories, but also laid the foundations for an empire that would influence countless generations. This narrative is not just about military might, but also about the interplay of ambition, culture, and the redefinition of power. Today, we dive deep into this dynamic period, exploring the strategic decisions, key battles, and lasting impacts of Rome's territorial gains during these years. Sit tight as we journey through history, demystifying the evolution of Roman foreign policy and the dramatic events that turned a republic into a formidable empire. Get ready to uncover the story behind Rome's rise and the bold choices that defined an era of enduring impact. Before 150 BC, Roman foreign policy was characterized by careful diplomacy and cautious restraint. Rome, though growing in ambition, initially pursued a strategy of securing influence through negotiation rather than invading territories. This approach allowed Rome to carefully maintain stability throughout the Mediterranean by forging alliances and building trust with neighboring states. Leaders in Rome believed that settling disputes through dialogue avoided the tremendous costs and administrative burdens associated with war. Diplomatic envoys were sent to mediate conflicts, and treaties were crafted to ensure mutual benefits without resorting to violence. At its heart, this period of diplomacy was driven by a belief in the power of agreement and the value of honorable conduct. Influential senators and statesmen argued that Rome should focus on consolidating its achievements rather than risking unpredictable military adventures. The careful path of negotiation and compromise was not without its challenges. As Rome encountered diverse cultures and powerful adversaries, the need for stronger measures became apparent. The accumulation of wealth and the desire for prestige began to stir the ambitions of Rome's political elites. Financial interests, along with personal aspirations for glory, gradually shifted Roman thinking away from passive engagement. The proverb, "all's well that ends well," was tested repeatedly as the benefits of diplomacy were sometimes outweighed by the lure of conquest and measurable spoils. Traditional Roman caution faced temptations from newer aspirations, setting the stage for more aggressive actions in later years. This delicate balance between prudent diplomacy and the pursuit of military honor paved the way for a profound transformation in Rome's approach to international relations. Ultimately, the transition from negotiation to conflict marked the birth of an empire that would leave an indelible mark on world history. Thus, Roman foreign policy before 150 BC set a cautious stage for conquests and lasting change. Between 154 and 133 BC, the Spanish Wars emerged as one of Rome's most challenging military campaigns. The conflict originated from revolts in both Hither and Farther Spain, where indigenous Celtiberians and Lusitanians defied Roman authority. Local tribes fiercely resisted Roman attempts to impose order, and their rebellions quickly evolved into prolonged and bloody conflicts. Early revolts were marked by sporadic skirmishes and isolated campaigns, but soon every Roman commander found themselves entangled in the tangled web of local rivalries and guerrilla tactics. Roman efforts to subdue these territories were hampered by severe logistical challenges and a growing public aversion to the lengthy, costly wars. Recruitment for campaigns became a sensitive issue, with levies raised only at the last minute, often under great reluctance. In one notorious incident in 150 BC, the proconsul Galba violated his treaty with the Lusitanians and massacred thousands, igniting even further resistance and distrust among the local people. This act of treachery not only deepened the resolve of the Iberian tribes, but also sparked widespread controversy in Rome itself. The determination of the Lusitanians found a charismatic leader in Viriathus, who emerged as a skilled guerrilla tactician. For nearly 8 years, from 147 to 139 BC, Viriathus orchestrated a series of ambushes and hit-and-run attacks that inflicted significant losses on Roman legions. His strategy relied on intimate knowledge of the rugged terrain and an unwavering commitment to Iberian independence, which motivated his followers even in the face of overwhelming Roman military power. Following Viriathus's eventual assassination during an ill-fated armistice, betrayed by his own allies, suborned by Roman command, the Romans turned their full might against the rebellious forces. The focus shifted to the challenge posed by the town of Numantia, which had become a symbol of defiance. In 143 BC, renewed hostilities broke out near Numantia, and although a brief peace was brokered in 140 BC by General Pompeius, the terms were soon abandoned by Roman authorities. The escalating tensions culminated in a disgraceful surrender in 138 BC, when Consul Mancinus capitulated with his army of 20,000 soldiers, opting for a treaty to save their lives. However, the Senate later renounced this treaty and condemned Mancinus, further inflaming the situation. The turning point in the Spanish Wars came with the re-election of Scipio Aemilianus in 134 BC. Tasked with restoring discipline and order among the Roman ranks, Scipio launched an ambitious campaign against Numantia. With a siege lasting 15 grueling months, the city was gradually starved into submission. The determined Roman persistence eventually paid off when Numantia fell, its streets echoing with the despair of once proud defenders. Following the hard-won victory, a commission of 10 senators was appointed to oversee the reorganization of the region, setting the stage for a prolonged era of peace, yet also marking Rome's resolute shift from diplomacy to conquest. Throughout these conflicts in Spain, Roman perseverance and tactical innovation were evident. The legions learned crucial lessons about adapting to rugged terrain and resolute adversaries. These experiences not only tested Roman endurance, but also prompted essential reforms in recruitment and logistics. As a result, the military evolved, paving the way for later victories. The Spanish Wars remain a vivid illustration of Rome's shift from cautious diplomacy to decisive, unyielding conquest. Their legacy influenced military strategy and inspired future generations of conquerors. Following the contentious aftermath of the Second Punic War, Carthage found itself shackled by strict limitations imposed by Rome. The treaty explicitly forbade Carthage from waging war overseas without Roman permission, a clause designed to keep its imperial ambitions in check. Yet prosperity revived in Carthage, arousing envy in Rome. Rival factions and expansionist ideas simmered beneath the surface, and influential figures in the Senate began to seek any pretext for action. One such figure was Cato, whose repeated cry, "Carthage must be destroyed," resonated deeply and set the stage for a dramatic confrontation. The opportunity to act arose through the actions of Massinissa, a local chieftain with ambitions of his own. Sensing a chance to alter the balance of power, Massinissa renewed old territorial claims against Carthage. As tensions escalated, Roman commissions were sent in 161 and 157 BC to settle the disputes, but these diplomatic efforts only fueled the fervor among those already determined for war. Cato, still haunted by ancient hostilities, grew increasingly incensed by Carthage's wealth and the perceived threat it posed. In a decisive move, Rome delivered an ultimatum in 149 BC. The Carthaginians, already weakened by internal strife, were forced into an impossible choice: abandon their thriving city or submit entirely to Roman authority. Initially, Carthage attempted to appease Rome by disarming and surrendering their military assets, hoping to secure a measure of mercy. However, when demands escalated to abandoning the coastal city and relocating inland, despair overtook the Carthaginians. In a desperate bid to protect their heritage, they fortified their city and prepared to resist. The ensuing siege was a brutal and protracted affair. For 2 long years, Roman forces struggled to overcome the inner defenses of Carthage, hindered by ineffective commanders and the resilient spirit of the defenders. The tide turned with the appointment of Scipio Aemilianus in 147 BC, who injected renewed discipline and vigor into the Roman legions. With expert strategy and relentless determination, Scipio rallied his troops, orchestrated encirclements, and systematically weakened Carthaginian resistance. By the spring of 146 BC, the Romans breached Carthage's final defenses. Fierce street battles erupted as every corner of the ancient city became a battleground. Ultimately, Carthage succumbed to the overwhelming pressure. The Romans leveled the city, and the surviving citizens were enslaved or dispersed. In the aftermath, Rome established a new province, aptly named Africa, which signified not only the physical destruction of Carthage, but also a symbolic end to its legacy. During the siege, Roman precision and discipline contrasted sharply with Carthage's desperate resistance. Roman engineers and soldiers worked tirelessly to breach fortifications, while Carthaginian defenders fought with fierce loyalty. This victory was not merely military, but a profound political statement. Rome sent a message that no rival could challenge its power without facing complete destruction. The fall of Carthage paved the way for Roman dominance in North Africa, significantly shifting the regional balance of power and inspiring future campaigns. This monumental event remains a stark reminder of Rome's capacity for ruthless determination and strategic brilliance. Every word from history testifies to the calculated cruelty and relentless ambition that led to Carthage's downfall, echoing through the ages as a lesson in power and consequence. Between 149 and 146 BC, Rome confronted new challenges in the Hellenic world, where both Macedonia and the Achaean Confederacy stirred unrest. In Macedonia, a claimant named Andriscus, asserting himself as a descendant of Perseus, sparked a revolt by claiming the throne. His uprising briefly disrupted Roman plans, forcing the Republic to dispatch forces to confront the threat. Despite early successes by Andriscus, Roman commanders ultimately crushed the rebellion at the Battle of Pydna. In the aftermath, Macedonia was reorganized entirely as a Roman province, reflecting Rome's determination to maintain stability in the region. Meanwhile, across central Greece, the Achaean Confederacy exemplified deep-rooted resistance against Roman intervention. The Confederacy, already burdened by internal divisions and simmering dissent, took bold steps when disputes with Sparta reignited hostilities in 1149 BC. Confident that Rome was preoccupied with other fronts, the Achaeans took the initiative and launched an attack on Sparta. However, their actions hastened Roman involvement. The Senate, determined to assert authority, appointed commanders who moved swiftly to quash any independent moves by the Greek city-states. Roman legions, under the command of General Lucius Mummius, entered into central Greece, defeating fierce resistance and decisively routing the forces of the Confederacy. The sack of Corinth, one of the most illustrious Greek cities, became a brutal symbol of Roman might. Corinth was razed to the ground, its treasures looted and citizens enslaved, sending shockwaves through the Hellenic world. In the aftermath, a senatorial commission disbanded the Achaean Confederacy, firmly severing its collective identity. The cities of Greece were then placed in individual relations with Rome. Those loyal to Rome maintained special alliances, while the majority were relegated to subjugated, tributary status. This reorganization marked a turning point in the balance of power between Rome and the Greek world. The Roman response in this period demonstrated an adept fusion of military skill and astute political maneuvering. While legions met determined resistance on the battlefield, Roman policymakers ensured that the political fallout was contained. The swift suppression of revolts in Macedonia and the dismantling of the Achaean Confederacy underscored Rome's capacity to adapt quickly to regional dynamics. These events further integrated the Greek states into Rome's expanding network of alliances and controlled territories, setting a precedent for future Roman interventions in the Eastern Mediterranean. This approach laid the groundwork for Rome's dominance in the region. proving that military might and political control could coexist seamlessly indeed. In 133 BC, the death of Attalus III, the king of Pergamon, set into motion a unique opportunity for Rome. Knowing that conflicts over succession could lead to instability and unwanted foreign interference, Attalus III bequeathed his entire kingdom to Rome in his will. With a gesture that both secured future peace and expanded Roman influence, the kingdom of Pergamon became an inheritance rather than a contested prize. Yet not all accepted Rome's claim without resistance. An illegitimate son of Eumenes II, Aristarchus, emerged as a rival, challenging Roman authority over the bequeathed lands. His rebellion resulted in significant military clashes, during which he managed to defeat and even kill the consul Crassus in 131 BC. Despite his initial successes, Aristarchus was eventually overcome by the forces led by his successor, Perpenna, in 129 BC. Through firm military action and strategic diplomacy, Rome secured control of Pergamon. The transformation of Pergamon into the Roman province of Asia was a pivotal moment in Rome's eastward expansion. This acquisition not only solidified Roman power on both shores of the Aegean Sea, but also served as a critical bridgehead for further advances into Asia Minor. The integration of Pergamon brought significant economic, cultural, and strategic benefits to Rome, reinforcing its emergence as a dominant Mediterranean power. As a result, the province of Asia became a cornerstone of Roman administration, laying the groundwork for centuries of Roman influence in the Eastern world. This strategic legacy continues to shape our understanding of ancient power indeed. Reflecting on the transformations between 167 and 133 BC, it is evident that Rome's territorial expansion was driven by a profound shift in strategy and purpose. The move from cautious diplomacy to aggressive conquest redefined the Republic's identity, propelling it toward the creation of one of history's most formidable empires. The dramatic campaigns in Spain, the ruthless destruction of Carthage, the decisive subjugation of Macedonia and Greece, and the strategic acquisition of Asia not only extended Roman dominion, but also reconfigured the balance of power in the ancient world. Each campaign contributed valuable lessons in military innovation, statecraft, and administration that would influence Roman governance for centuries. This period marked the beginning of a relentless pursuit of power, a legacy that continues to captivate modern audiences and inform our understanding of imperial ambition. Rome's actions during these years set the stage for future conquests and left an indelible mark on world history, demonstrating that ambition coupled with decisive action can alter the destiny of nations. In sum, this era not only reshaped geopolitical boundaries, but also redefined what it meant to be a power adrift in a changing ancient world. Its echoes still inspire discussions of leadership and legacy, truly.